Good morning, Jenna Garza. As I stated, I'm your YPN chair locally. I'm also the YPN vice chair for the state of California. So YPN is a forum. We don't have any action items to report on. Typically, we have the same format when we travel. We have a mixer. We did it Thursday night. It's a joint mixer for anyone and everyone who wants to join us. And then on Friday, we had in the morning, we have a workshop where this one we focused on working with your associations. We are grateful here to have an amazing association who welcomes YPN, and some associations don't. So we focus really on how to show the value in YPN and go back to your association and work well together, because that's important. And then the second half was our forum. We had a panel on overcoming adversity and your next best move. I actually sat on that panel. We shared kind of life stories and what we've been through and how we overcame them, and it was a really good experience, I guess. We're focusing a lot on mental health this year because we've had some losses that hit close to home, and so we are reaching out to our fellow realtors and affiliates, and we're here to help you guys. That's it. Thank you.
Good morning, Pauline Woelky. And Jenna did an amazing job. She was on the panel, and she was awesome and shared her story, and I know that's hard to do, so she did great. So I would give her a round of applause because you missed out. So I serve, we all serve on multiple committees, so I'm going to discuss on Expo Reimagine, and I also serve on the MLS committee. So as far as the MLS, we had our action items were adopting NAR clear cooperation policy with the MLS rules, and that's pretty much, if you guys notice on the listing agreements, you have 1 day to get those properties on the market. So MLS is now adopting that policy. And then we have a study group, or actually an item of a broker entitlement to data portability. So pretty much if you are a broker and you leave C.A.R. MLS, and let's say you go to a different MLS, it's transferring that data to the other MLS. So it's easier for you to be able to show your listings, that you've sold and so on and so forth. So, and then there was just a discussion of displaying buyer's agent commission. Again, it was just a discussion, so there is some lawsuits kind of going on right now about showing the buyer's agents on websites. So that was just a discussion. And then last, there is a work group with the professional standards about how to do, or maybe how to change MLS citation policies. So that's, again, a discussion on how to regulate it. Again, we regulate each other and strongly recommend if you do see something wrong, we need to enforce it as a group, as agents. So, and then on our Reimagine Expo committee, woo, who's ready to go? So this year it's in Long Beach. It's October 12th, which is a Monday. So usually the expo starts on a Tuesday, but this year they're changing it. So October 12th, which is Monday, through October 14th. Now Monday is the paid sessions, so you're gonna have mastermind classes, and those are really kind of deep dives, all day sessions. So usually they do like a broker one, a new agent, bunch of different topics. So if you wanna dive in, at the end of the broker sessions, they will have a networking group with everybody so you can network with other agents and so far. And I strongly suggest on going to these things and networking, because I just sent a referral to an agent in Northern California who's working with now their buyer, it was a seller down here, and you'll get a referral from that. And you want to send it to somebody you know, someone that you trust that's going to do good service and obviously close the deal, and you get a referral commission. So if you go, I strongly suggest networking with your fellow agents. And then, so on Tuesday, it's going to be the keynote speakers like Real Talks in the AM. These are all free sessions to you. And then on the afternoons, it's a deep dive session, so they're 45-minute long. And the expo floor obviously has a lot of different companies that can help build your business. And then we also, which is really fun, is we give out tickets and prize giveaways. So who won something last year? Denise, what did you win?
I won my iWatch.
Oh, look, she's wearing it right now. She won an iWatch. And all she had to do was walk on the expo floor, get a ticket. And those giveaways on the expo floor are 4:30 to 5 on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So again, I think we had another agent win a laptop from our association. So there's hundreds and hundreds of dollars of prizes given away. And then also, C.A.R. magazine is 100 years old, so they'll be doing a big celebration along with that. So, any questions? No? Okay. Oh, and just lastly, thank you for voting for me to be able to represent you when I travel, and I really appreciate it. So thanks.
All right, good morning, everyone. Adam Ruiz. I'm just going to touch real quick on some of the action items that we haven't discussed yet. So from our Home Ownership Housing Committee, C.A.R. will sponsor legislation to require homeowner associations with 50 or more separate interests in a common interest development to maintain an internet website to provide general information to its membership. And that passed forward. There was also an action item that C.A.R. sponsor legislation to require homeowner associations who have obtained a property owner's email address to deliver the documents to that recipient's electronic mail unless the recipient has revoked their consent to electronic documents in writing or by email. Essentially, right now, they've got to opt in to receive email. This would, if they have an email, it's going to go there automatically moving forward. And then anyone here for CEQA exemptions? Nobody? We'll skip that one then, I guess. Nobody cares about CEQA. You should. There's a bill, AB 1907, which would, until January 1st, 2029, exempt from CEQA emergency shelters, supportive housing, or affordable rental housing defined as up to 80% of the area median income, and that did pass forward as well. Another one out of land use here. There's a bill, SB 739, which would require the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection to establish a defensible space and home hardening assessment and certification program to evaluate properties located within state responsibility areas. This is really a direct response to the fires up in Paradise. So a lot of the fire hardening requirements, they're just looking for a central training so that they stay the same throughout the state. Question on that? I'm sorry? No, and that's, honestly, I laugh because the discussion on this kind of turned into some of the defensible space and hardening requirements. This is specifically talking about training, so that up and down the state, everyone will receive the same training if this bill were to pass moving forward. Nothing specifically about how they're going to be cleaning everything up. I think Gene's going to touch on this in a minute, but Prop 13, that'll be on the March ballot, not to be confused with Prop 13 for property taxes. They surprisingly took a position of staying neutral on that for the March election. There is also an as yet unnumbered ballot initiative that will be coming down to another attack, basically, or furthering for rent control. When that comes out, they're going to be against that as well. Pauline covered the MLS stuff. I'll get that one because that was kind of the fun one. So PACE, HERO, those types of financing arms. C.A.R. is going to be supporting that the DBO draft regulations that require any PACE administrators to register with the NMLS. They're offering loans. They should therefore be regulated, which would actually give a little bit of teeth because right now they're unregulated on anything that they do. So that would be a win for us as well. And then the last one that I'll touch on here real quick, because we've had some discussion here. There was a lot of discussion on the floor in our meetings. But you remember we talked about a public-facing website for violators of the Code of Ethics? And I mentioned that to you guys before, that they were going to come out and publish your picture, your violation. Currently, that's on a login only. Anyone gone on that website? A couple of you guys? Okay, right now that's login only. There's discussion of making that a public-facing website. That was then pushed back to committee after maybe an hour's worth of discussion or so. And the main reason for that is not that we don't want to police ourselves. We've had a lot of discussion about policing ourselves and making our business more professional. But the problem is, or the challenge is, that different boards may analyze or interpret violations differently. There's not really a standard of practice on how some of those violations are looked at. So while, say, this board were to say, we'll give you a letter of warning, someone else may say, no, we're going to give you a fine, and that would generate something different, or vice versa. So until we can get that language cleaned up a little bit, it's once again been referred back to committee. Okay? Any questions on those? I know I went quick, but I want to respect your time, and we still got Gino to get through. All right, here we go.
Great. Thank you, Adam.
What exactly does that mean? I'm not
Connie has a question, Gino.
right. So that won't be a problem.
No, someone else
No,
may
I-
have a question.
Okay.
He's giving you a hard
No,
time.
that's like nobody's going to have questions for me, so I don't have to worry about that.
And I'll bring the mic to you. Just raise your hand so we can hear you on the recording. Thank
I'm
you.
going to see, it's not even recording now. I'm going to just cover a couple of items that Adam did. We sit on the same committees: land use, legislative, local government, investment, housing. So it's just a lot of fun and a lot of meetings up there. Okay. My time is up, I see. Thank you very much. So a couple of things. Adam mentioned Prop 13, which is going to be on the ballot. First of all, I know you're all realtors and affiliates. Everybody's registered to vote, right? And everybody is aware that we have an election coming up on March 3rd, right? Okay. One of the items you're going to see on that is Prop 13. And you all know that's an effort to repeal the original Prop 13, right? Certainly, if you've been reading Facebook, that's the impression you come away with. Repeal Prop 13, oh my God! It has nothing to do with the original Prop 13. We were a little disappointed that C.A.R. decided to remain neutral on that, because there is an element of that proposition which does impact property taxes. Prop 13 is a school bond issue. It proposes to raise $15 billion in state money for building schools and rehabilitating older school buildings and so forth. So that part of it's good. The downside is a $15 billion bond will require about $27 billion to repay. We're all realtors. We understand how a mortgage works. But the other part of that that's concerning is there is an element buried in there that allows school districts, because this is a matching fund bond. So if a local school district applies for $1 million grant or $1 million worth of that bond to build a new building, they have to match the funds. So that means they have to go out and do their own bond offering locally. In order to do that, it allows that school district to raise the cap on your property taxes, what they're able to collect on your property taxes, from the current 1.25% to 2%. Okay, so it almost doubles the amount that a school district is able to tap into your property tax bill. So that does obviously impact property owners, homeowners, and we're concerned about that. And we thought that C.A.R. should have adopted a position on that based on that element alone, in that it does impact property owners. So my advice, just for what it's worth, is to vote no on Prop 13. It's entirely up to you. I advise you to gather all the facts. The boss, Carl Kuzer, and I did about a 15-minute discussion the other day on this. Carl posted it up on Facebook. It's also on my Facebook, and I think the boss posted it up as well. So there is a fairly robust discussion of this Prop 13. Second thing to be aware of, and what people are often conflating, they're mixing the two issues, is another as yet unnumbered ballot initiative, which will appear in November most likely. They're still collecting signatures on it. But it is an attack on Prop 13. Again, not a repeal, it's an attack on Prop 13. And it's what's called a split roll tax initiative. Currently, as you're aware from the original Prop 13 from 1978, residential and commercial properties are both capped at 1% of the property value plus 2% a year increase. The split roll tax initiative seeks to split out commercial properties from residential properties. It would reassess them to current market value, and then depending on which version actually makes the ballot in November, they'll be reassessed every 1, 2, or possibly 3 years, again to current market value. Legislative Analyst's Office estimates that this would bring in anywhere from $7 to $12 billion a year in taxes to the state general fund. So you have to ask yourself, where is that $12 billion coming from? It's simple. Companies don't pay taxes, okay? It's a cost of doing business. So who pays that $12 billion a year? Well, a company's going to do one of three things. Either they're going to go out of business because they've already been stressed and taxed enough, and a lot of small businesses or businesses that rent, for example, in a retail strip that have net rentals on that, they're simply going to go out of business. Second of all, company might join the growing exodus of businesses that are leaving the state of California because of issues just exactly like this. Or third, and most likely what's going to happen is that's a cost of doing business. They just pass it along to the rest of us, okay? So everything that you consume, if you go to the movies, if you buy groceries, if you buy gas, clothes, whatever you do that comes out of a commercial structure, you're going to pay more for it because you're paying their share of that $12 billion. So again, that'll be coming along. C.A.R. made a decision to postpone a decision on that until our April-May meetings. And again, we wish they would have jumped on the bandwagon a little bit sooner, but that was the decision they made. So we've got some concerns about that. Third thing is, just a quick advisory. I know, again, if you read Facebook, you've been seeing a lot of discussion about one of the races coming up on March 3rd regarding the replacement for Melissa Melendez, 67th District seat. Melissa, as you probably know, is running to replace or to fill Jeff Stone's seat when Jeff resigned last year to take a job with the federal government. So that Senate District 28 is open. Melissa's running to fill that seat, so it's opened up the race to fill her seat. And we have at least 5 or 6 people running, including 3 city council members and 2 realtors or realtor affiliated folks. Kelly Ciardo from the city of Murrieta, Steve Manos from the city of Lake Elsinore, and Jeremy Smith from Canyon Lake. Jeremy's in the title business, I think. Steve Manos is a realtor out of Ivar. C.A.R. made the decision based on the fact that he's a realtor to endorse Steve Manos, which is fine. That's their prerogative. However, they have come out with an extremely negative shot at Kelly, which is unusual for C.A.R. In the past, it was always policy to do a positive campaign, and we were proud of that because we were never digging down in the dirt. If you're endorsing a candidate who's worth getting elected, you promote that candidate's positive impact. And for whatever reason, they've chosen to go extremely negative on this one, and it's reflecting poorly, I think, on the state association. And again, if you follow social media, they're getting a lot of blowback on this. And it's unfortunate because people who know Kelly know that it's really not accurate information. It's just a negative, dirty campaign. And it's nothing that we're really proud of at the local level to say that we're part and parcel of this, because we're not. So again, I encourage you to get all the information that you can, make your own decisions, make an informed decision, and get out on March 3rd and vote, because that's what realtors do. Any questions? Yes?
Regarding the new ads that they're got out there just in numbers right now, they're saying that all the monies from that are going directly to the schools. Is there anything in the bill that mandates that, or will it go typically to Sacramento?
The breakdown is that it goes to primarily to school districts, okay? The concern we have about that is really probably at least twofold. There have been, since 1998, I believe, 5 different school bond issues involving hundreds of billions of dollars being raised for schools, for construction and so forth. The most recent one was in 2016. Again, another bond proposition that sought to raise $9 billion for basically the same thing this is, for school construction, rehabilitation. Of that $9 billion that we approved, that voters approved, that you approved, I didn't approve it, of that $9 billion, $7.7 billion is still sitting there. The school districts have not been able to get their hands on it. Plus, the state is currently running a significant surplus, as you probably, again, see in the newspapers. So if this is really such a dire emergency, you would think the state could step in and do it, because the state funds the school districts. So the concern is, yes, if you read the ballot proposition of the $15 billion, and Curtis has got the full breakdown on this, but if you read the ballot proposition, there's like $11 billion for K through 12, $2 billion for community colleges, $2 billion for UC and CSU systems. So yes, the allocation element is in there as to where it's supposed to go. Who knows if it'll ever get there, or if the funds will ever be allocated to begin with. So yeah.
So basically the breakdown is they're saying $9 billion are going to go through kindergarten through or preschool through grade 12. In that $9 billion breakdown, $2.8 billion is going to go towards new schools. They're going to use $5.2 billion proposed to renovate schools. They're going to use $1 billion. They're going to give $500 million to community colleges, $500 million to trade schools. They're going to give $2 billion to your CSUs, which there's 9, I think, of those. They're going to give, or there's 23 of those, and then they're going to give $2 billion to your UC schools. There's 9 University of California schools, and that's how they're going to propose to break everything out. So,
Yes.
My question is, then, if we're talking about these bonds, as this gentleman just said, what are we going to do with the money that's already there? I mean, I'm just struggling with this. We're
all
being
struggling
taxed
with it,
with
yeah.
more money to raise and propose different strategies of how to get money from the taxpayer when we're sitting on money that is not being utilized. So, at the top of my head, I just want to know, what is the final objective? Are we having a saving account we don't know about, or help me out here. I'm just struggling, that's all.
Top of my head, we're all struggling. There's no answer to that. I don't know why. We have a budget surplus. We have unallocated funds from prior bond issues. And, I mean, actually, again, if you've read it, and I don't know how much you can trust the media these days, but they're saying there are school fund from the state which have just disappeared. Nobody knows where they are.
Oh, no, that's not acceptable.
Okay, sorry.
I
take it back.
That's not acceptable.
That's not happening at all.
That's not acceptable.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Get out and vote on March 3rd. Your life depended on it.
Thank you. You guys give it up for Gene. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for that C.A.R. update. I think the last thing that we had for professional standards, and it was an action item that was approved, is that C.A.R. create a peer-to-peer ethics information line to serve C.A.R. members, whereby specifically trained realtors, volunteers will answer questions by phone from any C.A.R. members about the interpretation and application of the Code of Ethics, and that motion did pass.
This was not a state issue, but I did want to mention to you also that the city of Murrieta this afternoon will be starting a workshop at about 3:45 prior to our city council meeting this evening, discussing short-term rentals. So if any of you are interested, you know that Temecula about 2-3 weeks ago instituted a ban on short-term rentals to extend for a period of 12 months. And Murrieta will be hearing discussion. We'll have a presentation this afternoon. We're going to be hearing from members of the public and then make a determination as to what direction we want to take going forward. So again, if you're interested in short-term rentals, 3:45 this afternoon, Murrieta City Hall. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene, for that.